Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Pauper video. Today we're going to be playing with Jack's Mardu Flicker deck list. And one thing I want to say before I get started here is that this card was supposed to use cards that are currently not available on Magic Online. And let's take a look at the card that is supposed to be in this deck. This deck was originally built with Vicious Battle Rager in mind, so that like you can take the initiative, which is a mechanic similar to a Monarch, or maybe entering the dungeon is another similar comparison. But unfortunately, those and many other cards did not make it to Magic Online, which is very problematic for Pauper in particular because a lot of those commons are very powerful, although other formats are seeing issues with that as well. So we're just going to replace those with Thorn of the Black Rose and kind of like move on. There's one in the main deck and another one over here in the sideboard. The random card that's partially covered up by the top deck logo is another Duress, by the way. So what is our game plan here? Essentially, we are going to have a bunch of creatures that have powerful draw card abilities. And some of them are flexible, like Dawnbringer Cleric, which is a card that I've been relatively impressed with the couple of times that I've played it. And then we are going to use cards like Ephemerate to blink them and reuse those triggers, or otherwise bring them back with cards like Late to Dinner. That's the primary game plan of this deck list, and you can see we kind of have like a small burn package here to help support that. We do have 6 bridges, or sorry, there's more down here. We do have 10 bridges in the deck list, so it can also ramp with Cleansing Wildfire. And ultimately, we're trying to create ephemerate loops with Ardent Elementalist, where you flicker Ardent Elementalist with Ephemerate, and then when the Ephemerate finally goes to the graveyard, you use Ardent Elementalist to return that Ephemerate, and you just kind of keep going, gaining value along the way. And there's some very cute things you can do, such as evoking a Faultgrinder and then flickering it with the trigger on the stack to destroy a bunch of your opponent's lands. It's absolutely the sort of bullying that I'm into. And Soul of Migration is kind of going to be our end game finisher. It's a 2/4 that when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 birds. And again, it also has Evoke. So when you are on 5 mana, you can evoke this blanket and like get your sick value that way. About the only card that I am really unsure about is Reaping the Graves. I have played this as a one-of in a couple of different Pauper deck lists, and it's been here as a value card. And I'm just like not convinced that this card is better than just playing another like value-oriented creature with an ETB trigger. I'm not gonna take it out of the deck list because like I've never played a game with this deck list, so like I can't really judge it. But that's one of the things that kind of immediately comes to mind for me. As far as the sideboard goes, and let's go ahead and pop that out, we have a decent amount of life gain here. Lone Missionary can like absolutely be obnoxious when looped multiple times. And then a lot of the other stuff here is the traditional stuff that you see in Pauper sideboards. Like you have some Duresses and some Pyroblasts for the appropriate matchups, and a little bit of Artifact Hate. Leave No Trace is a card that is there as a nod to enchantment-based decks like Boggles. But yeah, this should be a lot of fun. I expect the matches will go long, though. When you like sign up to a league with these ephemerate decks, like you are ready to use your clock. Let's put it that way. Anyway, folks, I hope you'll enjoy. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. And if you have something you want to get on the channel, that information is available in the video description. Let's battle. So this is kind of a tough to evaluate opening hand, because I have a Late to Dinner that I can use to return a creature that I've been with Faithless Looting, but this hand doesn't innately do anything itself. So it's a question of like, do I keep Faithless Looting when I have like a bunch of stuff that I kind of don't want in hand right now, or do I just mulligan this one? I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. Like I just think a hand with some consistent mana is going to be better than this, and I like this one much better. Let's assume that I can find something similar in power level to this eventually. Just bend this and keep all of my cards that are good in the early game. This will just be bridge and pass so that I can Cleansing Wildfire it on turn 2. I do love that Cleansing Wildfire enables a bunch of these sorts of decks. Ooh, do I just terminate that? Probably need to just terminate that. Like, I love ramping, but I think this is an always bolt the bird situation. Like, if we're playing against elves and I don't disrupt them, it's just so bad for me if they just go out and do their thing. And we are playing against elves. Okay, they were on a one-lander. So there's that. All right. It is ramp o'clock. Go ahead and Cleansing Wildfire my indestructible land. I basically don't care about double of very many of these colors, and I have double white already. Guess I'll grab a swamp for variety. Faultgrinder, not exactly what I'm looking for right now, and I haven't played my land drop yet. All right, there's my land drop. But we'll see if my opponent can do something kind of gross this turn. I'm not really playing things like Fiery Cannonade, unfortunately. That really let me just, like, deal with the problems here. Oh, that's a huge problem. Yikes. I think my opponent had a little sequencing whoopsie, right? Like, they played 2/2 drops that turn, so they could have played Elite Vanguard first and put a +1/+1 counter on it. I'm presumably going to terminate this? Question mark? I think I'm just going to continue to ramp. Gives me a redraw as well. Yes, let's use that ability. Grab a plains. Sure. Let's, I think, terminate the scaling threat. It's possible the priest is scarier. The priest is scarier if opponent has things that draw a bunch of cards. The lead the stampedes, you meet in a tavern, those sorts of things make the priest way scarier. That's not good. Yeah. My Faultgrinder also, like, not looking great in the face of Quarian Ranger, so, like, that's another, I guess, air quotes problem, right? I'm just double checking. Yeah, I don't have. So I have an Electrickery in the sideboard. Oh no, I have one main deck Electrickery that I could spike. Okay. All right. Yeah, looks like the Priest of Titania not doing a ton at this exact moment, which is cool. I don't feel good about this matchup though. Elves is horrifying when you just, like, can't consistently sweep. Let's try to draw some cards and see where we go. But I feel like opponent has a pretty big advantage right now. Do I just loot? Maybe I loot after playing Angelic Overs here. And I have the possibility of turning land drops into real cards that I don't currently have the possibility of doing. All right, draw my card. Late to dinner. I think I will go ahead and cast this turn. I could wait, but well, you're going to graveyard, and you probably just go to graveyard. I don't know. Like, I don't have targets for 2 late to dinners, but I might after my opponent attacks, so it's a little weird. I don't know. Maybe I just do this. All right, elves. What's the damage report? How bad is it? Bad is the answer. So whenever you cast an elf spell, you get a token with this. That is going to scale up very quickly. All right, well, this does stuff. All right, let's play this. I will use it to grab a terminate. I think I have to terminate this thing because it scales up both of these creatures, which unfortunately means I'm not making the absolute best use of my mana in this turn cycle. And I think I'm going to attack. Like, this makes it look like I have an Ephemerate. So my opponent might not go for an attack in with some of the smaller creatures. Yeah. I'm going to pause here like I'm thinking about it and just kind of keep up this Ephemerate charade. Although, I don't know. I could just, like, chump block and then late to dinner this thing. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. Because the Faultgrinder doesn't really do a lot right now. And this just gives me access to another Terminate. Wonder if I even play that looting this turn. I could flash back a looting. I might just do late to dinner, though. Yeah, let's do it. Let's late to dinner. Return this creature. Grab a Terminate. Terminate the larger of these. Crash in for 4. And then see where this leaves my opponent. I think I'm trying to kill my opponent in 3 turns in the air. Oh yeah, opponent's not attacking. That's pretty good for me. Do I attack in with this? Or if I attack in with this? I'm very happy if it dies, because it just lets me terminate another body. Yeah, let's do it. Let's crash in. Yeah, opponent just ate the damage there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. There's some worlds where I want to cast the one from hand instead here. Dig up the body. Not great right now. I really wanted to find a creature there. I'm going to discard 1 looting, 1 dig up the body. And cast another looting. Alright. I will just junk those cards. And I think just Edict my opponent to round out the turn. Didn't really find the things that I was looking for. Now, there are still worlds where, like, awful things can happen to me with Priest of Titania tapping and, like, Quarian Ranger doing its thing. But a lot of those things just aren't happening. So that's cool. Again, late to dinner Faultgrinder here. I think I'm going to just start with a Faithless Looting, though. Attempt to find something that just gets my opponent dead this turn. Galvanic Blast does that. Discard those 2 cards. Attack my opponent for 4 in the air. Put them to 2. And Galvanic Blast to finish it. I'm so confused about my opponent's hand. It's like, they weren't making land drops. They weren't playing creatures. What the fuck did they have? Right? Because they had, like, all the mana in the world from Priest of Titania. So I don't know. Electrickery is insane. Just make that swap here without really thinking about it. Forgot about the casualty on Dig Up the Body. How do I feel about Thorn? I don't think I'm going to have a game that where my opponent bricks off that hard again. Maybe we want to get rid of that. And I guess my question is, like, do I want Lone Missionaries to become better versus the fair stuff, or do I want Duress to take their draw effects? Slash, do I want to cut something else like Dig Up the Body? I think that's reasonable. Play the 2 Lone Missionaries. They can also just attack in for chip damage in the early game. There's just, like, a decent portion of the time where I cast a Duress and it just, like, whiffs because they just have a handful of creatures. I don't remember what the exact numbers are off the top of my head, but it's a huge creature base. Yeah, this hand has an Electrickery automatically a keep at that point. Oh, my opponent has gone to 5. Alright, good stuff. Your elf resolves. Don't think it matters very much which one of these bridges I play. So I don't think I'm going to agonize over the decision. It's really awkward for me if my opponent plays that thing that gives their creatures, oh wow. Wait, just Electrickery now? I probably just Electrickery right now before this thing gets any counters. Opponent missed a land drop as well. Yeah. I'm just gonna take this now so my opponent can't use the Finhorn Elf for mana. Like, I know they missed a land drop. And then I can, like, Cleansing Wildfire ramp into Ardent Elementalist and do cool things with it. Alright, so let's start here. Yeah. We'll use this ability. Probably just picking up extra red mana here. Cool. I can make a tapped land drop this turn. Really matter which one. Just getting bridges out of the way. Yeah, your Vanguard is fine. You can play another elf to get a counter on that. That's very nice here. Yes, they can. Oh, Quarian Ranger here is very specifically kind of annoying. Ooh, Ephemerate. Yeah, I would have gotten to blow up both of my opponent's lands this turn otherwise. Oh well. This is still a good turn. I'm going to play Ardent Elementalist. Return Electrickery. I think since I can just Ephemerate it back next turn, I think I do just kill a creature here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take that 1-for-1 that lets me do cool things with Faultgrinder. think I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's a draw two. That's fine. That is not a big deal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be 6 total mana to ephemerate this thing. All right. Asked for its evoke cost. Evoke on the bottom. Destroy target land. Cast Ephemerate. Target Faultgrinder. And that's good enough to get the concession from my opponent. GG's. Okay, round 2. I think I'm just going to keep my opening hand here. If I play my Goldmire Bridge, I can cast a Chainer's Edict early in this game, and then kind of hope that that buys me time to the end game. Really depends on what my opponent is playing for how good this hand is. I have played against so many forest decks today. I will probably not release these in the same order that I recorded them in, but I also recorded another league in which I think I played against like 3 green ramp decks in a row. It's just kind of wild. Alright, so I'm hoping to draw a playable card for next turn. Like, if I have to just go, like, bridge pass, that's fine. Yeah. I'm probably playing against, like, the, like, Ponza-style deck with all the cantrip and green creatures, the Owlbears and the Roof's Packmaster or whatever it's called. Yeah, Cleansing Wildfire is awesome. It does go here, right? I do ramp myself. Right? I always am unsure about this. Because, like, my thought when I first started playing this format was blow up these lands when you have the opportunity to. And then advice I read from other people was like, no, just focus on yourself instead. I've tried to shift that heuristic, but, like, this feels good to me. I don't know. Like, maybe I have inevitability over my opponent's deck if I get my shit going. Guess I'll use this ability. I'll grab up Plains. Never gonna need double black in a turn, I don't think. Bearded Companion is whatever. Okay. I'm +1 land. I have a decent number of redraws. I can start doing cool ephemerate stuff soon. Faultgrinder, I guess, would be a good get. Oh, I definitely thought that was the bridge at first. That's not a bridge. Yeah, opponent picked blue. I guess means Muldrifter. There's something for knocking my opponent off of casting those sorts of cards. Acid Moss. Yeah, absolutely. We shall blow up each other's lands. Don't expect to need black mana this turn, so I think I'm going to tap like this. Play a dog. Ephemerate. Yeah, sure. I'm just going to do this now in case I specifically draw a bridge with this draw. I'll pop this out so I don't forget it. Sure. Let's see what my opponent has. They're getting to the point where they can do their big and dumb stuff, but I've got multiple Ardent Elementalists and late to dinner to return them, so hopefully I also do dumb stuff. Or more accurately, hopefully I do dumber stuff. Thermokarst, absolutely. Getting my value for not playing Snowlands. Okay. So my opponent using their resources to blow up my lands when I just get to keep drawing cards because of ephemerate loops, like, maybe doesn't end up in the best spot for them, right? Like, I don't exactly have a play for this turn or anything, but, like, I'm good. Next turn I play Ardent Elementalist, return Ephemerate. Or maybe in some worlds, return Cleansing Wildfire, but probably Ephemerate. Alright, Boarding Party is dope. I will probably be terminating that. Yeah, that's fine. 6-3 with haste that cascades into draw a card plus a body is, like, absolutely no joke. Neither is destroy target creature, though. Okay. I think it's time for just Ardent Elementalist. This Faultgrinder is pretty cool, though. Alright, grab Ephemerate to get a loop going. And no attack. We'll see. If opponent can just keep playing boarding party type cards, they can get some sick value. If they can't, good news for me. 5 mana Owlbear, absolutely. I think I can go a Foretold card. I don't actually know what that is. Which is a problem, because I can't play around it if I don't know what it is. You have Foretold? Nope. Wild Growth, absolutely. Oh, wait, doesn't the pack leader have Foretold? Yeah, I think it does. I can just Faultgrinder next turn. So long term, my plan is probably my opponent attacks with this, like block with it, Ephemerate this, terminate that. I don't know if I need to be playing around Lightning Bolt. Accordingly, I think I am just going to do so and blink now. I lose out on a little bit of value, but I think that's fine. Just return that terminate. Terminate the thing that doesn't have trample. Play a tapped land. Attack for 1. I'm probably not supposed to terminate immediately in case my opponent plays another boarding party. I end up taking a little bit more damage. I don't know everything that I need. Yeah, I don't know everything that I need to play around in this format. Like, I don't know opponent's deck list very well in that regard. Fine. I gave up 2 points of life in order to play around some potential cards. That's fine. All right, so Ephemerate, target the Elementalist. So this blinks it out of play, and then it can just return the Ephemerate, and, like, hence my loop. It's pretty obnoxious. Electrickery, not great here. I Ephemerate or Terminate, I can whack in for a couple points of damage. I don't know that I need to do that right now. Let's play this and call it a turn. I can also just, like, evoke, straight up evoke Faultgrinder this turn, blow up a land, and late to dinner it next turn. But I'll just continue to terminate my opponent's stuff, and that's fine. My opponent has some big draws that are scary, but then they also have stuff like Arbor Elf that is, like, not an issue at all. Yeah. Okay. So you don't have trample, right? Yeah, you don't have trample. Go ahead and block. Actually, I didn't want to block that one. I wanted to do this the other way. It's whatever. Like, it's an obvious mistake, but I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things. We'll pretend that this thing being a mana dork is what I cared about. But yeah, like, opponent could have a 2/2 in play instead of a 3/3. Alright. Then rebound happens. Cast this, target Elementalist. Do this, return Ephemerate. And this whole thing is on repeat now. I think I like just doing this turn. 5 mana, evoke Faultgrinder. Target a land with a Utopia Sprawl on it. With evoke trigger on the stack, go ahead and blink it. When it comes back, destroy the land with the Wild Growth on it. Nice. And now we've just completely dodged the evoke side of the equation, and I can chip in for 1 point of damage. I don't think opponent's card advantage gets them out of this loop that they are in at this point. The Ephemerate stuff is just so strong at this point. Yeah. Alright, cast this, target Elementalist, and do the thing where I return it once again. Okay, cool. And I can probably just, like, immediately turn the corner on this game. Actually, let's do this in a more mana-efficient way. Let's just play a Faithless Looting. Yeah, that's fine. Ardent Elementalist and an Electrickery that I don't really care about. Now I can cast Late to Dinner on the Elementalist while still holding up Ephemerate. Cool, and then this will just return a Terminate so that I can cast that next turn. I think I've transitioned to the beatdown. I think this attack is fine. Like, I've got a food token here that, oh, I can also just, like, Ephemerate it to block if my opponent attacks. Like, that's a thing as well. Yeah, you can Acid Moss me. That's fine. Again, I've just got 6 lands. Okay. End step. Let's go ahead and just Ephemerate the companion, I guess. I'm fine with just drawing lands. Take a card. Upkeep. Do the whole rebound thing. Pass this. Target one of these. And then return the Ephemerate again. Alright. Terminate. Target this thing. Just kill my opponent in 2 turns. I have no creatures in my graveyard for reaping the graves. I guess I can put one in there with dig up the body, but seems largely irrelevant. Bash in for 7. One's got a bunch of lands. I don't think I need to blow them up anymore. I'll just keep drawing cards. Draw a Galv Blast. Galv Blast is good. And I can leave up, dig up the body as well. Yeah, that all sounds good. I can also just leave up eating the food. Yeah, that's fine. Visionary is fine. I don't even need to use the combat step anymore. I can just straight up, like, Galv Blast my opponent's face. Return Galv Blast, kill my opponent that way. Copious Brawl is whatever. End of turn, Galv Blast you. Eat a food. Yeah, there's the concession. Okay. Cool loops are cool. I don't really like Electrickery here, I don't think. It's, like, very specifically good against the Arbor Elves early, but, like, just does nothing in the late game. And I think I'd rather have more powerful effects like this. Enchantments, right? Yeah. I might play a couple of Lone Missionary just as another thing that I can blink. Again, not super impressed by this card. I think I'm probably going to cut it every round. Unless I'm really just expecting a lot of removal from my opponents. And then I might get rid of, like, a late to dinner or dig up the body. Dig up the body feels so slow. Like, it's interesting when I do get to do casualty and then, like, curve it into a late into dinner, but I think I just want more things to blank. I don't know. Dig up the body and reaping the graves kind of fill similar roles. And it just, like, feels unnecessary to me. I love all the stuff in this hand. In terms of interaction, I'm super on board with it. How many white sources or ways to get white sources do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to keep this. I think it's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Super care about that. Hand is beautiful. Let's get this tapped land out of the way. It's also indestructible. And see what things my opponent can do to me. I'm not really expecting a lot from them in the next turn cycle. Let's play dog. Call it a turn. Cleansing Wildfire as a way to ramp is awesome, especially if I eat an early land destruction spell from my opponent. See what they have. Okay, it's just a Visionary. That's totally fine. Wonder if I even start Ephemerating now. I don't think I start Ephemerating now. I do think I kill my opponent's stuff as they play it, though. That's ramp. I think I'll grab another white source and play this. I will bolt this. I think this game is going to go on long enough where the bridges are going to get into play and Galvanic Blast will turn into a more real spell. Go, doggo. Opponent's at 19, and then they'll take a card out of my graveyard at the end of turn. Not that big of a deal. This thing sitting on the battlefield once I start doing Ephemerate loops is more of a thing, but I don't really care about it right now. Okay. I think I'm going to end up Galv Blasting this. Let's play the Overseer first, and then I can kind of make that decision. Take my card in my life. Yeah, I think I like just getting this out of the way. There's a red mana. Play a tapped bridge. Crash in for 1. Alright, down to 18. I have more mana in play than my opponent does. I have probably more card draw than my opponent does with, like, my Ephemerate in hand, and I have some life gain as well. Yeah, that's fine. I can terminate that and then just continue to get in and then start doing Ephemerate stuff afterwards. Alright. Black, red, terminate. Get a bridge into play. Bash in for 3. Opponent's at 15. I think I always Ephemerate this turn. So let's go ahead and do that in case I draw something that I would like to play more than Lone Missionary. I don't want to play that this turn, but that card is a heck of a draw. Pretty happy with that still. Gain 4 more life, up to 26. This brew is working. I have an incoming Ephemerate in the not-too-distant future. Kind of the hope here is that I force my opponent to pop their Relic of Progenitus before I start doing any sort of graveyard-based loops at all. Okay, yeah, that's no big deal. Opponent has blue mana available now. Alright, we're rebounding. I think I'm just gonna cast the, target this on the companion so that I get more damage in this turn. I am fine with those ratios, I think. I am not expecting a flash creature in combat or anything. Maybe a removal spell happens. Nope, opponent just takes 4 here. I think this turn is just going to be Overseer into Thorn. That feels fine to me. Now I have the better board. I have more creatures, and I'm the Monarch. I'm not really bad against something like a Fiery Cannonade. Like, I'll still have a creature plus be the Monarch. Well, it's not in a great spot. Yep. That's all fine. Again, a little surprised that opponent hasn't felt threatened enough to junk their Relic yet. Whatever this is, it's real big. Sure, an Altasaur. Cascading into Cannonade, yeah. That's fine. Like, I'm still the Monarch. I'm overall good with this situation. It's not perfect. But assuming I can find like a Terminate or equivalent to get rid of this or otherwise invalidate this thing's damage, I can probably gun down my opponent. Okay, yeah, they are just getting rid of all that. Alright, so let's Faithless Looting into something gross, shall we? Cast it. Holy shit, that was bad. I think I'm flashing it back. Or like bridge here. Flash it back, leaving up mana for like a Terminate. Unfortunately means that I can't cast Late to Dinner. I could play land in Late to Dinner. That wouldn't leave up Terminate as a spike. Let's discard Bridge and a Late to Dinner. I would be fine trading here. My opponent's going to attack no matter what, and I can't really stop it. I think I'm just going to kind of accept it here. Deal the damage. Play the land. Play an Overseer, and just intend on taking back the Monarch. Ooh. Anyway, intend on taking back the Monarch rather than trying to hold it. Yeah, that's gross. I can just, like, cast that and Ephemerate that next turn. Boarding Party is a little scary. What does that cascade into? Packmate, sure. So the other thing I can do is just blink my Thorn of the Black Rose and become the Monarch. I can just do that on my turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 to play Migration and then Ephemerate it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to let my opponent hit me with this and then Lightning Bolt this. Although the Lightning Bolt is kind of sick, just going at my opponent's dome. They are at 10. I don't know. Preventing 6 damage seems good. I don't have enough matchup experience to know exactly what to do in this spot. It seems like I'm probably going to be okay regardless, though. That's a little annoying. Makes my Late to Dinner in hand a little worse. I think I am just making a billion birds and being okay with the situation. Oh, I can also just do this for 5 mana, right? And be able to Cleansing Wildfire as well. Go that route. Yeah, let's start there. Yes, I'll pick up more white sources. Faultgrinder is interesting. I don't think it matters. Take my attacks at this point. Crash in for 3. Fine making that trade. I'm the Monarch. Opponent goes to 8. Combat damage. 4 mana, play Soul. We're just trying to go wide of opponent's 1 blocker for this last set of damage. Here's the Ephemerate. Get 2 more birds. Now I don't have to sacrifice the creature to evoke. And I'm the Monarch, and opponent probably can't attack in anymore. Opponent just cracking their Relic. Yeah. Reasonable. Let's see what they can do. Like, they've got 5 cards. We'll probably just let them become the Monarch if they want. I am just threatening so much damage in the air. I guess I'm not particularly great versus a fiery cannonade happening off the top. That's fine, though. Yep, that resolves. And this is good enough to get the concession. Games are going long, but we're 2-0. Like, we have a lot of value in this deck list. Okay. I've got some bridges, and I've got a Cleansing Wildfire. So this is going to be a keep. I need to play the red bridge on turn 1 so that I can cast Cleansing Wildfire on turn 2 on curve. Or forest! Oops, all forests. Holy shit. Is Forest Ramp just, like, secretly good in this format? Like, did I miss a memo? Or does everyone just, like, fucking around and cast an Owlbears? Which, I'm just saying, I would understand and would be happy to do. I had so much fun the last time I played, like, an Owlbear deck. I have triple white already. Let's grab a red here. And there is an Ardent Elementalist. Again, I'm going to kind of keep with the pattern of choosing to ramp myself rather than trying to knock Utopia Sprawls off of lands. Yeah. Oh man, that is a juicy target now for a land destruction spell, though. I want to play Overseer and tapped land this turn, or do I want to try to high roll with Faithless Looting? I don't want to try to high roll with Faithless Looting. I'm not gonna lie to you. Electrickery is going here. And I think tapped land goes away here. Now I can go ahead and just play one of these. Round out the turn. Nice. Okay, so I can start an Ephemerate loop as of next turn. We'll see what degenerate things my opponent can do. Like, they've made another land drop, so anything is possible. In a Cascade? Yeah, you're going to Cascade. Into a Packmate to draw a card. Yeah, this is fine. I'm going to take some damage in the short term. I'm absolutely taking some damage in the short term. Going to be lightning bolting this, and then probably blocking this and ephemerating. I mean, like, I gotta, right? I just gotta. I believe it is the law. I just have to do that. Oh. 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 Disgusting. I want to lightning bolt and I want to block ephemerate. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a turn here. Yeah, but that set my opponent back 2 mana. Like, the forest replaces the forest they lost, but they lost Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl while I drew a card. This deck must have won a challenge or something. Just, like, absolutely have seen this deck everywhere in the past 24 hours. Actually, just today, past 8 hours, because I've recorded both of those Pauper videos today. Draw my card, gain my life, and see what my opponent has for me post-combat. Owlbear, absolutely. So, upkeep. Let's keep this ephemerate value going. Oh, God. Those are not the cards that I'm looking for. I think it's fine. Play an Ardent Elementalist. Return an Ephemerate. And pass the turn with double Ephemerate up. That seems pretty stupid. I don't know that this Ephemerate card is okay. I am doing so much bullshit here. I'm enjoying it a lot, but I don't really know that my opponents will feel the same way. There's a looting. Let's ephemerate this one as well. I'll use a trigger, grab a lightning bolt so I can start removing my opponent's creatures. And at this point, I'd like to find... Oh, you fucker, you trample! No! Forgot about that. Alright, that's on me. I could have played that turn better then. Such is life. Visionary's fine. Alright. Upkeep. Rebound. Target Ardent Elementalist. Turn the Ephemerate. I'll do the same thing with the other one. Just gross degree of value. I'm going to start this turn with a Faithless Looting and find more Ardent Elementalists, I guess. Are these bridges? I guess I really care about taking out the Owlbear since it tramples. I guess I'll Lightning Bolt that. Play a land. Ephemerate this. Turn Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt, finish off the Owlbear, holding up Ephemerate. I should have played a tapped bridge instead. Maybe that's not true. I think I'm just gonna hold here. 7 mana. The Altasaur is annoying. This is gonna mean that I am gonna have to find like a Terminate at some point. Yeah, that's good. That was a reason to play out some of the bridges that I discarded. Okay. So let's go ahead and block this. Ephemerate this. Return Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt this. Trample creatures are a bit of a problem here. I think I'll overpower those, but like I definitely did not foresee the mistake that I was making in not getting another black source into play, specifically an indestructible one. I think it's fine. Oh, it's just fine right now. Yeah, it's just fine right now. Lightning Bolt, target you, Ephemerate, target you, target Lightning Bolt, target this, crash in for 2, put opponent to 18. I think I Ephemerate this. I don't know, I can also just like take this out of play as a mana source. I don't know, I kind of want to find a land this turn. I think I'm good with this. Faultgrinder, kind of whatever. I want to flashback Faithless Looting this turn. Yeah. Let's do that. Guard, bridge. I can now have 3 Ephemerates going. That's pretty gross. 4 mana. Is this just going to sack the locket? Oh no, it's another Altasaur. That's okay. Like, I'm taking out these cards. That's a slow cascade into a draw 2. I'm fine taking this creature out of play. I'm probably fine taking this creature out of play. I'm about to do more disgusting things here. Alright. Ephemerate, target my boy. Boy, target Ephemerate. Ephemerate, target my boy. Boy, target my Ephemerate. I haven't even looked at this art. Are you even a boy? No. A girl. Okay, there is a Galvanic Blast. Which I don't have Metalcraft for. Oh well. Ephemerate. Target Lightning Bolt. At some point, I can also, like, do the math for whether or not my opponent is just dead by me sending these things to Dome instead. But I can do that, or I can just keep killing everything and breaking my opponent's spirit. Actually, this is just Gal Blast, right? Gal Blast finishes that job. I can cast one more Ephemerate. Do this one targeting a Cleansing Wildfire, actually. Just ramp and draw a card. Really matter what land I get. Yeah, sure. I guess I should also like try to get another Ardent Elementalist on board. I haven't seen a removal spell out of this deck yet. Alright, is it Locket time? Oh, it is Owlbear time. That's all fine. 3, 4, 5. All Drifter, sure. Not that big of a deal. Alright, I'm gonna start skipping this thing. I'm gonna end up with 3 Ephemerates in my hand. Okay, there we go. 3 Ephemerates in hand. There's a Cleansing Wildfire. Let's take out some creatures. Ephemerate this thing. Burn the bolt. Bolt this thing. Ephemerate you. Burn the bolt. Bolt this thing. Play a dog. Draw a card. Play a land. Hold up an Ephemerate. There's 4 mana. Oh, is it time to sack the locket? It is time to sack the locket. 3. 4 mana for a packmate. That's fine. Arbor Elves, whatever. I won't kill that. Yeah, those cards are whatever. So end step, I'll go ahead and Ephemerate this. Turn a Lightning Bolt. I'm at the point where I can start bolting my opponent. Not to Dome. And I'm going to return 3 Ephemerates to hand. Alright. Ephemerates are all back. I'm going to go ahead and just play out a Spirited Companion, draw a card, poison enchantment. I'll just gain 2 life here. Into life. I don't think I need to fuck with their blue. I think I've got things under control. Oh, I'm not going to cast one of my Ephemerates in this turn cycle. Whoops. 5, 6 mana, Cascade card, absolutely. Acid Moss on a mountain, that's fine. Float here. Opponent's out of forests. Yeah, your untapping is fine. Starting to look less fine. Ephemerate this. Turn a bolt. So I can do like 3, 6, 9, 12 damage easily. Probably means that I have to respect these creatures rather than just continue to go for the kill. Alright, it's gone. Nope. Ephemerate one of these again. Turn a bolt. Floating mana, take out the Packmaster. Call it good. Ooh. Opponent could actually get some real damage in here if they have another Cascade card. Oh no, it's just a draw 2. That's fine. Alright, so this turn I only return 2 Ephemerates. Alright, return both of those, like so. Draw, that's fine. Play a bridge. Go ahead and crash in for some damage here. Put my opponent down to 12. I'm going to go ahead and evoke this. Putting more damage on the board just makes life easier for me. Destroy that land that my opponent keeps using for their shit. Yep, seems fine. 7 mana Cascade is good. An Owlbear, no big deal. I think I just finish off my opponent with, like, direct burn damage in the next turn cycle. Mana untap a land, that's fine. Acid Moss, another one of these. Annoying, but ultimately I think okay. Okay, so an elf attacks. I will block. I will Ephemerate this. Return a Lightning Bolt. I will Lightning Bolt your dome here. I'm only returning 1 Ephemerate this turn cycle because of how things worked out. Actually, I can probably just, like, let that go. I just have 2 more. Just straight up return a Lightning Bolt. Probably fine. Yeah. Doesn't fly. Okay, I'm just going to pass the turn. I just have opponent dead after casting 3 more Lightning Bolts. No need to do it on my turn, I don't think. Down a decent amount of clock. This deck requires a lot of clicking. Another Altasaur is annoying. I mean, like, literally, it's on the card, right? That's fine. I'll just take 10 damage here. Trade off with Elf for the sake of clicks. This is sloppy play, but I think it's fine given that, like, the clock is the thing that I'm most likely to lose to at the moment. That's fine. If I was in burn range, I would not have played that way. I would have played more conservatively for a few more turns. But I am not in burn range, so here we are. Bolt you to 3. Ephemerate this. Turning the Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Target you. I'm not even going to cast this last Ephemerate. I don't need to. Ephemerate, target the Elementalist. Elementalist. Turn Lightning Bolt for the sake of clicks. Lightning Bolt, target you. And we can move on to the next game. Ugh. So I guess I like Lone Missionary. I guess I like Thorn. The rest of this stuff, not so much. I'm going to junk these things like I did before. And I think I'm going to get rid of Electrickery, rationalizing that the games that go long, like, I can win with loops anyway. Opponent bringing in relics makes some of this stuff worse anyway. I'll be a little more conscientious about my artifact lands in this game as well. I also will probably concede a game that I think I'm woefully behind in rather than trying to play it out. This is a one-lander, auto mulligan. This hand is kind of whatever in terms of speed, but I think I am just going to keep it and pitch the late to dinner here. I'm also going to remove this upkeep stop on my opponent's turn just for the sake of time. Because again, like, from very early on in this game, I need to be respecting my clock in case I get into another loop-like situation. Do I kill Arbor Elf? I think I'm going to kill Arbor Elf. Like, I only have 1 removal spell for right now, but, like, this can massively slow my opponent down and really helps if they end up having an enchantment. Like, 4 is a magic number for that deck list in terms of a lot of the permanents for that deck. Thermo Karst, absolutely. Luckily, I have an absolute shit ton of lands, so this does not bother me. I've also found a new removal spell, although not like the best one. Sure. Land drop, missionary, attack for 1. Galblast is only doing 2 damage right now, unfortunately. Yeah, okay. I mean, take your 2 for 1. It's good. I'll late to dinner and draw a card. I will absolutely junk that elf. No second thought whatsoever. Late to dinner. I'm just gonna turn this into a card draw. Actually, I just evoke this turn. What am I thinking? I can late to dinner a better creature. I am trying to play quickly because it matters. 3 visionary, that's fine. Cleansing Wildfire makes the land enter tapped. Can't play that now. Late to dinner. Target big beefy thing. Big beefy thing. Act 4, 2. This is a lot of damage in the air. I can probably slow down now. This is good enough to win the game in most cases where my opponent doesn't have a second copy of Fiery Cannonade. Opponent does have some reach creatures in the deck. I think there's some Penumbra Spiders in the sideboard that are a little annoying. And there's the Annoyed Altosaurs. But otherwise, I'm okay here. Alright, for pure speed reasons, I'm going to do this combat. Let's get more red. Actually, maybe more white. More red, actually, for this turn specifically. Don't really have to think about it all that much because I'm just going to get the other one. Red, 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 white, white. White. Bridge. Crash in for 6 in the air. If this thing ends up getting killed via a block, I just late to dinner it back again. I can turn late to dinner into just a redraw. I'm not really sure if I'm in for that. See what scary thing my opponent has. Boarding Party is strong. The Cascade into Owlbear, sure. None of that stuff hits in the air, which seems relevant here. I take 7. I'm doing fine in terms of my life total. Lol. Hardcast that. Yeah. Dash in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Soul of Migration with a late to dinner to bring it back. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I don't have lethal if my opponent happens to have a Fiery Cannonade, though. I put my opponent to 1, and then I late to dinner it back again. Like, that's the out my opponent plays to here. They still have 3 mana, so they could have drawn into it. They did not, and we just turboed that game in like 2 minutes. Are we up to 3-0? We're up to 3-0, and we haven't dropped a game. Woo! Okay, round 4, I will be keeping this opening hand. I don't have early white, but I do have a Cleansing Wildfire that I can use to get white. This is a hand that will be improved a lot by drawing 1 untapped land, though, as I do have 3 tapped lands. I still have a turn 2 Galblast as a play if I miss. Opponent says, hello, today is the first time I'm playing MTGO in a long time. Apologize if I'm slow. The UI is worse than I remember. No worries, friend. Good luck. Again? Oh, I take the luck back. I take the luck back. I don't know how we're gonna win this matchup, folks. I'm gonna have to like actively think about that. This is a matchup that our recursive removal is just like not going to be good at answering. I have a couple of electricaries, but there's a very, very narrow window for that to be good. Okay, we're not getting hit as hard as we could here. All right. So I think my play is going to have to be blink a whole bunch of things and gain a shit ton of life. Galblast, you're not going to do it this game. I think I need to loot here. I think I need to loot here. You're going to go to graveyard so I can hopefully reanimate you at a low cost, I think. And I'm just going to discard the Reaping the Graves. It's going to be way too slow here. And let's get another tapped land out of play. Specifically, I'm going to play an artifact land because Battlecraft may matter for like shooting the opponent for lethal. Yeah, all in all, not a great situation. But like, holy shit, I would love to draw Electrickery. Alright, let's start ramping. So here's 1, 2. Yes, I'm gonna grab a white source. Okay. There's another white source. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have gambled on the Faithless Looting last turn. In with the Spirits is legit. I'm gonna put this upkeep stop back. Not that I really expect a lot to do there. I'm just so used to playing with it. Spirited Companion. Okay, cool. So opponent has white cards in hand that they currently can't cast, which is why they haven't done a whole lot. Okay, makes sense. Also, like, don't Cleansing Wildfire the opponent. Message received. I don't know that Blinking You is enough life. Okay, I have a lot of land. I gotta keep ramping. I can ramp and then play a mountain. Oh, I've loaded this wrong. Red mana with that. Then Wildfire. Yes, use its ability. I don't think it matters what I grab. Grab a plains. Hit another bridge. Fuck. Alright. 1, 2, 3. Overseer. Really need to draw some gas. Yeah, I'm at the point where, like, I wish I had kept the soul in hand, but I was not, like, I was trying to play towards getting that thing. Yeah, we're just crashing in, right? Okay. I was trying to play towards cheating that thing into play because I didn't expect the game to go on this long, but opponent has missed white mana. Alright, so Rancor floops back to hand. Then opponent can re-equip one of these things. Do I loot? I think I loot. Just try to send away some of these lands. There's an Ardent Elementalist. It gets a body. And tapped lands are going away. So I need to play untapped land into Ardent Elementalist to soak up a little more damage. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll have 8 mana next turn. Does not get me to Reaping into this. I can get Reaping into Evoke. Get Reaping into this. Yeah, I do take Reaping. Alright. Life's bad. Okay. I'm dead to so many things here. It's an Abundant Growth. I am probably dead to that, because that color fixes my opponent. And their hand is presumably full of white cards that they couldn't cast. Yeah, there's an Ethereal Armor. So that's First Strike and Trample, meaning that I am deterministically dead here. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna throw myself under the bus anyway. We're gonna soak up that 1. We'll give you the 0. We're not gonna give you the -1. Okay. The Leave No Trace that is in the sideboard is an insane card to hit here. So I like that. Revoke Existence can get rid of an enchantment. I like Blinking Lone Missionary, and I don't hate Death Touch cards. Electrickery is reasonable in games like that one. Duress is potentially playable. I have 8 cards I can bring in. Emphasis on the can here. I am probably cutting these 2 cards. I'm probably cutting the Faultgrinders. Like, I like the 4/4 body, but I think messing with my opponent's lands is just, like, not where I need to be. And and it is an if I want to play all these cards, I still need to make more cuts from here. Blinking Dawnbringer Cleric actually is pretty sick. Maybe that's the plan. Got a late to dinner. Duress too volatile. Maybe Duress is too volatile. This is 61 and I could cut like a Faithless Looting. Alright. Oh fuck, I didn't cut Terminates. I want to cut Terminates. Yeah, okay. Hand's not perfect. Yeah, Terminate can hit the dogs, but otherwise is, like, not a great card in the matchup. Could have cut that over a couple of the last things that I got rid of. Let's see if I open on something cool like a Chainer's Edict. Oh, that's a Dawn. That's the Dawnbringer Cleric. That's the one of. My boy. My man. You're fantastic and wonderful. So let's try to find an Ephemerate to blink the ever-loving shit out of that. And be a happy camper. I don't have that many, like, card draw things going on right now. Okay, that's fine. Ooh, opponent not picking white there. Ooh, okay. This is all good for me so far. Rancor, sure. What's Rancor's wording? When Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Alright, an opponent did not want to trade there. I can't really destroy the Rancor in a meaningful way. I think I want to get rid of my opponent's white source. And then hope that I find the ability to blink this over the next few turns. I think this has relatively high upside for me. Let's Dispel Magic on Abundant Growth. It's a little bit of a gamble, but I'm hoping I punish my opponent for not putting that on the proper color. And I will not be attacking here. So, see where this all goes. Bah. Plan unsuccessful. Means opponent is going to get to vomit more things into play. Basically, like, I just cannot let the Dawnbringer Cleric leave play. I just need that to sit there. I can chump block with a Lone Missionary to buy time, but, like, the chump blocking is not good versus Rancor. Yeah. Ancestral Mask, Trample, not great. Alright, I'm eating that damage. That's a late to dinner, so I can now chump block and use that to get rid of Ancestral Mask. Okay. Reasonable. This turn is really hard. Because if I draw Ephemerate, I want to have a white open. If I draw the 1 and a white enchantment-y card, I want to have 2 mana open, meaning I should play Spirited Companion. And if I Inspiring Overseer into a bridge, I don't want to play Mountain first. I think I am going to play my expensive card here, leaving up Galvanic Blast and potential Ephemerate. This is a... Oh... Alright, so if I get rid of Ancestral Mask, I can just kill this in combat. I think I'm just gonna chill. I'm not gonna take any chip damage attacks here. Stuff can go wrong. I want to be prepared. I think this thing is dying pretty much no matter what, but... Oh, God, why? That's okay. Like, I will get rid of both of those. Fuck! Yeah, that's a big creature. I'm gonna Ephemerate a Dawnbringer Cleric. I'll blow up an Ancestral Mask and then see if I'm dead. Alright. Retard Enchantment. On an Ancestral Mask. What does that bring that down to? That brings that down to a 13. Yeah. That's not great for me. Guess I'll just eat this damage. Like, soaking up 2 here doesn't seem super relevant. Alright, so Ephemerate. Target this. Destroy the other Ancestral Mask, and then there's worlds in which I can block sometimes. Let's Cleansing Wildfire into Chainer's Edict, huh? One time dealer? Would be cool. Yes, I have red, I have white, I have black, so it doesn't super matter. Let's get more planes. And, not the best, I guess. Leave up this, and draw another Ephemerate. Fuck. I think I just need to leave everything back. I'm probably dead here. Like, opponent has Trample and 3 cards. I have 1, 2... toughness to really work with. Like, I can technically also block with the Dawnbringer Cleric. Actually, I probably need to block with the Dawnbringer Cleric and then late to dinner it. Armadillo Cloak. Fuck. That's so much life. Alright, +2/+2 and Trample. This is 9 incoming. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can leave myself with 1 creature in play. Maybe leave myself with an Overseer in play. Yeah. Yeah. The Trample is just absolute useful here, though. Actually, maybe Lone Missionary is better in play. Both have 2 power. Both do very similar things on current board. Ugh. Gainer's Edict. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. So I can late for dinner, get rid of Ethereal Armor. I always play this. Late for dinner, get rid of Ethereal Armor. My opponent will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power. I block 4 of it. That doesn't work. An Ardent Elementalist for Ephemerate Lone Missionary. Gain 4 life, go up to 5, block 7 of the 9 available, and die. So none of these lines work. I need to late to dinner, draw a card, and hope that something works out somehow in a way that I'm not seeing. Chainer's Edict. I can draw Chainer's Edict. That's what I can do. I think I'm on a 1 outer here. No, I'm on a 2 outer. There's 2 cards that do it. That is not one of them. What about the food token? Yeah, did I mess up? Forgot about the food token before. So if I had cast Late to Dinner on Dawnbringer Cleric, blown up Ethereal Armor, and sacrificed a food, I would be alive. I don't think I win the game, because like I am in an awful situation, but I buy another turn, and then Ardent Elementalist can blink and go from there. I might have punted that one away. Okay. I have a hand here that is lacking in white mana, lacking in any card draw, or basically any spells that I can play. I'm just going to mulligan this one and try to find something a little more consistent. Yeah, this is a Cleansing Wildfire hand. This is fine. I have no information about the matchup, so it's very difficult for me to say what card to throw back here. Probably Faithless Looting or Late to Dinner. I think I'm going to make it Faithless Looting, but that may be wrong. I'm kind of hoping to draw an untapped land in my first 2 turns so that I can do cool things with Cleansing Wildfire. Ooh, burn? Nice, there we go. Alright, so now I can play Cleansing Wildfire on turn 2 and start ramping towards something cool. A little weird, like, I could have kept both Faithless Looting and Late to Dinner, because, like, the cards work well together, but I have no creature in hand to discard currently. And Electrickery helps out so much if I'm randomly paired against fairies. Alright, opponent went away from keyboard for a little while, but it seems like they're back now. Ah, we are playing against Hot Dogs, in which case I am very sad that I do not have black mana available this turn to just Chainer's Edict this away, because I can die this turn. Absolutely straight up be dead. That usually doesn't happen. Like, it probably takes 2 attacks. I'll be getting the Swamp here. But there's worlds where I am dead, and this thing has 2 toughness, not 1. So, let's see what you got. Things get scary if my opponent starts discarding lava darts. They didn't. Okay. That's not bad. That is bad. That is 20 damage exactly. Yep. Cool. Alright. Good news is I don't really think we're that bad off in the matchup. Basically, anything that interacts or gains me life, I will bring in. So these can come in. These things are slow. I don't like them. Electrickery is probably not at its best here. Blowing up my opponent's lands isn't great. Probably get rid of Faultgrinder. I'm going to take a just look over the deck list here. Yeah, I think it's good if it works and everything goes okay, but maybe don't need it in the matchup. Yeah, oddly, if I would have played, what is that land's name? If I would have played Tramway Station on turn 1, I probably win that game. Yeah, let's call this good. There's also a world where I can play spell bombs to help out with like lava darts sitting in the graveyard, but I have an Edict in hand. I have 2 tapped lands. That's a little rough. I think I am going to keep this and hope that I either draw a land or I don't just die in 1 turn like I did last time. Helm Fiend is the best of the creatures here in that regard. Okay, cool. All right. let's play that tapped. I'll hold up Lightning Bolt to kill the first creature, and then like I can Chainer's Edict the next one that's played out. Because whatever. Ape. Sure. A little annoying. For the sake of my curve, I am just going to junk that. But I don't have to hold up mana. Like, I can try to be cute. I don't know that that's necessary. I'm going to try to hit another land drop here by drawing a card. I do not succeed. Maybe looting there is better to look at more lands. But not entirely convinced that's true. There's Kiln Fiend. They'll just Edict that out of the way and crash in for a point of damage. Missing these land drops here is so incredibly detrimental, by the way. Like, it doesn't necessarily look like it right now, but it truly is. Try to high roll. Try to Faithless Looting. I can discard this soul. Double tapped lands. Okay. Card a Wildfire. More likely to need white than anything else here. I can at least duress my opponent and take a source of like double strike or trample or something. Okay. Opponent's getting in. This is an annoying set of stuff here. I also have to do math. How much does this increase by? Increases by 2. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. In terms of answering these creatures, taking the Apostle's Blessings is a good idea. But Mutagenic Growth gives them the most physical damage next turn. I guess I'm going to take that. It's super unfortunate that opponent had 3 different ways to get their damage through, though. We'll see how all in they go. Oh man, they hit another land. That's super bad. Okay, they're not going all in. They're holding up Apostle's Blessing instead. Alright, I'm going to get to Lone Missionary and Ephemerate it. Unfortunately, it is an X1 creature, which means this Ephemerate isn't actually going to work. But I have 5 tapped lands this game, so I can't cast this late to dinner. Alright, there's the looting. Gonna discard a Lava Dart. Oh, it did not. Sure, got rid of one of those. Alright, Lava Dart targeting this. I will attempt to gain my life. It is not gonna happen. Just another Lava Dart is gonna happen instead. Yeah. Alright, see if I'm dead. This is 7 damage as of right now. Life's not great. Always this. I can get a Soul of Migration, but Apostle's Blessing here is just a kick in the teeth. I guess my line is Ardent Elementalist and get Chainer's Edict and use that to kill this next turn. And just hope I live for another turn. I don't feel good about that. All my creatures being X1 is also some serious shit. Alright. Grab Chainer's Edict, call it a turn. Can't really get Ephemerate. This line also, like, probably leaves me dead too anyway, though. Like, I still know about, like, this Lava Dart. There's another land drop. Absolutely will be blocking to try to avoid taking any damage this turn. That's fine. I am good with that. Oh, fuck, I forgot about this idiot. This guy. Let's draw into a Lightning Bolt, eh? Casual Lightning Bolt for the win. Nope. I'll Edict my opponent, which takes out this. And doesn't... Well, actually, in some worlds, it may take out this. Doesn't really get me to where I need to be. But opponent couldn't kill me last turn, right? Just keep trying to make it so they can't kill me. This is obnoxious. Yeah. Alright. Do love me some tapped plans. I think I'm gonna take multiple blockers now. And hope that this can get me somewhere cool. This card is kicking my ass. Alright, there's a couple of chump blockers. And we'll see how much time this buys me. If my opponent goes for the win, I think they just have it. Yeah. They've been playing around, like, lightning bolt sort of effects. This is 3 unblockable damage, plus the stuff from Lava Dart. Oh god. Alright, it's just double Apostle's Blessing, so both of those get in. That's 9 damage as of right now, plus Lava Dart. Be lethal. Yep, there's 9 damage. And then the Lava Dart makes it lethal. Yeah, I just did not have enough time to get set up there, so we only end up with a 3-2 in this league. Overall thoughts on the deck list? Really good. I'm not convinced about a couple of the individual cards. These two seem weird to me. Electrickery is really hit or miss in terms of how good it is, but I understand wanting it in the deck because of how good it is in Game 1 scenarios versus decks like Elves and Ninjas. Like, I get it. The deck's a little slow to finish games, and I'm not going to claim that I always piloted this optimally, because like there were definitely points where I didn't physically know what I was going to do. But yeah, this gets a thumbs up for me. Like I really like this. I don't know that it's better than the Just Guy version. Like, recurring Terminate is cool. Thorn is cool. Muldrifter's probably just cooler though. So like, while this deck gets a thumbs up from me, I'm not sure that it's better than a deck that already exists. Which is often the case for things that I play on this channel. But as far as like, do I like this deck? Absolutely, hell yeah. Were the games interesting and engaging? Yes, thumbs up. Did I feel like I had a chance to win just about every game? Yeah. Boggles, like, maybe don't get paired against Boggles, but for the rest of these, I feel like I had decent game. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. Have a great rest of the day, and hopefully you'll come back tomorrow. See ya!